begin KXAN News at 10 tonight with some breaking news. The Travis County Sheriff's Office is investigating a deadly shooting involving one of their own deputies, who they say saved a woman after she was being held at gunpoint by her husband. This happened off of FM 2769 near Valente. That deputy is now on standard leave tonight as the Texas Rangers investigates.
And according to the Sheriff's Office, deputies responded after someone called 911 from out of state concerned about his elderly parents. We want to take you live to that scene right now, as this is still a very active scene tonight. For the Sheriff's Office, the caller said his father was holding his mother at gunpoint. They said responding deputies actually heard someone screaming and then found what the caller described. Per the sheriff, the deputy ordered the man to put down his weapon and shot him when he did not comply. Deputies say the man is dead and the woman was not hit.
I've met with the family and I've met with my deputy, and this is a tragedy, and it's something that nobody would want to go through.
And the Texas Rangers are now investigating as the deputy is on standard leave pending the investigation. We will have overnight updates on KXAN.com and in the morning on KXAN News Today.
First warning weather with Chief Meteorologist Nick Bannon.
All right, be ready for some very thick fog for the morning commute tomorrow. We've already got low visibility now in Georgetown from our Ewald Kubota weather camera along I-35, and visibility may only get worse for many of us by tomorrow morning by that morning commute. Dense fog advisory for most of the area, including the entire Austin metro, until 10 a.m. at least. And you can see visibility across much of the area, half a mile or less, down to a third of a mile at the airport. So you can see the type of visibility we may be seeing here tomorrow morning at 7. Less than half a mile of visibility still, and in some places perhaps less than a quarter mile. We don't expect much in the way of improvements in visibility until late morning, and even by midday there may still be some leftover thick fog. We don't just have the fog, we've got the clouds, we've got drizzle, and even some areas of light showers moving through the area too. So a damp, cloudy, and foggy night with showers around and overnight lows really not dropping much to 54. Coming up in First Warning Weather, we'll track a damp and yet warmer Wednesday ahead of storms that come in real early Thursday morning. We'll time those out, how much rain we get ahead of 70s and sunshine.
When I called my case manager, every time it went to voicemail, and every time I left a voice message, I never got a call back.
You should be prepared to wait up to 6 months for your claim to be reviewed.
Held up a KXAN investigation into the state's Embattled Crime Victims Fund. For more than 2 years, we've been investigating this division out of the Texas Attorney General's office, and the many viewer tips you've sent us about long wait times and payments and severe backlogs.
Well, now, for the first time since we uncovered the staffing and funding issues behind those problems, the Attorney General himself laid out what he says his agency needs to keep up, and what he really thinks about KXAN investigator Matt Grant's relentless reporting.
General Paxton, can you talk about what you're doing to reduce the backlog with the Crime Victims Compensation Fund?
Attorney General Ken Paxton had nothing to say to us.
General Paxton, the Crime Victims Compensation Fund.
Can you reach out to our press office?
We have.
Okay.
We've reached out for a year. We haven't heard back. We're just trying to get answers on behalf of crime victims.
The silence isn't new.
We haven't heard back, so we're here in person to try to keep getting answers on behalf of victims.
For more than a year, Paxton's office has ignored our attempts to get an update. But at a Texas Senate budget hearing Tuesday at the Capitol, the AG did respond to lawmakers.
The Office of the Attorney General is committed to performing its duties with excellence.
Lawmakers say they are looking to inject the division with around $40 million in lost federal funds.
We want to give you what you need. We want the victims to have what they need.
They asked Paxton about the attack on a DPS office last year that killed 2 people and their funerals, which led to a discussion about the agency's $6,500 cap on burial expenses for crime victims.
I was like, wow, $6,000 for a funeral.
doesn't pay for the funeral, doesn't even get close to it.
It definitely needs to be updated as far as costs.
The agency is also proposing more transparency in response to our investigation, which exposed its own performance metrics were skewed by averaging victim claims, which last year were taking on average nearly 8 months to process, with rape kit exam reimbursements to hospitals, which are paid directly and within days.
So if anyone who's been sitting around Austin has seen the KXAN reporter who likes to talk about how terrible the Office of the Attorney General is for combining these two numbers, which is what we are required to report, which is why we are proposing to separate those out. Our numbers did not, I think, properly reflect the work that we were doing.
The Senate committee presentation is just the first step in the legislative session's budget process. The House must still hear the AG's proposal, then the two sides must come to a compromise on a final budget by the end of May. Their decision will have a direct impact on the amount of funding for crime victims and how that division operates for the next 2 years. We'll, of course, continue updating you on this story. At the Capitol, Matt Grant, KXAN Investigates.
And the AG is asking for a 6% salary increase to keep and attract staff and says they are targeting 90 days as a realistic number to make a first payment on victim claims. Now, this is an issue Matt has been tracking for 2 years, and our coverage even led to a new state law. You can catch up right now on our complete reporting. We have a link in this story in the investigative section of KXAN.com.
Governor Greg Abbott directed the Department of Public Safety to deploy tactical teams to assist federal partners in locating and arresting people with active warrants who are in the country illegally.
His announcement comes on the same day the DPS director testified to the state Senate Finance Committee that his agency needs more staffing. Colonel Freeman Martin said DPS is spending $2.5 million per week on travel and overtime related to securing the border under Operation Lone Star. But as troopers face various threats, he says it's pulling troopers away from other duties like patrolling state highways.
We plan these operations, but then we pull them off when something else happens. And then you look at text map, and you might, between here and Houston, you have 2 troopers out. One's at the jail with a drunk driver, and the other one's working a crash. So that's how you can go back and forth from Austin to Houston, Texas for months and never see a trooper.
Now, a DPS spokesperson told senators the agency identified nearly 5,400 people in the country illegally who have active warrants from local jurisdictions in Texas. DPS strike teams will work with federal partners to locate and arrest those individuals. Going deeper here, it is important to note that even undocumented immigrants still have rights under the Constitution. Non-citizens have 4th and 5th Amendment rights against unreasonable searches and against self-incrimination.
Rarely have a warrant for arrest. So you don't need to, no one needs to open their door if there's no actual warrant for their arrest. Everyone still has the right to remain silent and not incriminate themselves, and everyone has the right to a lawyer.
The Department of Homeland Security confirmed this intensified enforcement will continue in several big cities.
Some tense moments along the southern border yesterday, now seen in new video. Texas DPS released drone video showing suspected cartel members apparently firing shots across the border at Border Patrol agents. At one point, you can see one of the suspected shooters pointing his weapon at the drone. Agents did return fire, but no injuries were reported. Christina Smallwood, a spokesperson for the U.S. Border Patrol, said this area is busy with illegal activities such as human trafficking and drug smuggling.
Regardless of the situation and regardless of our specialty units being out there, these are just instances that all of our Border Patrol agents face on a daily basis.
Our partners at Border Report say 3 years ago, Border Patrol agents were shot at in the same area. And last year, Governor Greg Abbott labeled that area dangerous. After the Trump administration announced a temporary pause Monday night in funding most federal financial assistance programs, this afternoon, a federal judge moved to temporarily block that freeze. But this back and forth has implications for many people and organizations. Capital Area Private Defender Service, that's a nonprofit in Austin that helps assist people in need of lawyers when they cannot afford one, worries it's about these impacts on their clients as they use federal aid to help fund their clients' cases.
For most clients, it's an unattainable goal. I mean, most of these representations require a lot of resources. You're reviewing the entire case. You'd be looking at tens of thousands of dollars in attorney's fees, which almost no incarcerated client has.
And we did reach out to several local and county entities to see how any pause in funding would impact them. This includes the city of Austin. City manager T.C. Broadnax responded saying the city is aware of the funding freeze and is examining the potential impact. A driver who killed a Central Texas man while speeding in the rain currently doesn't face any charges in the father of five's death.
The victim's family tells KXAN's Brianna Hollis they feel like this is a miscarriage of justice.
He never regained consciousness. This is my husband's truck.
Gabriel May was killed in a crash on this street, Flint Rock Road, in May of last year. He had 5 kids, 2 grandkids, ran an auto shop in Spicewood. That's the last place he was before he died.
Vineyard Bay Automotive, this is John.
He ran Vineyard Bay Automotive for 10 years.
This is where we spoke with his wife and 2 of his sons who now man the family-owned business about the crash that changed their lives.
There was a dump truck.
Christy's own tears cut her off as she told the story.
Going so fast that it couldn't stay in its lane.
This was the result. The family says they learned in December the driver who caused this at this point only has a speeding ticket. Roads were slick that day, Christy said. Lakeway police confirmed the driver got a citation for unsafe speed and driving too fast for conditions.
It really makes me feel like my husband's life didn't have value.
Police say the case is still open and investigators are looking into whether additional charges are warranted. As the May family waits for answers on that front, Christy takes these signs to city council meetings where members address traffic changes on the road her husband was killed on.
Did you have any discussion points?
The latest meeting, just this week, addressed prohibiting heavy trucks, like the one that struck May, from driving on Flint Rock Road. Christy has channeled her energy into supporting efforts like these, but still has a message for the driver who killed her husband.
It's destroyed our entire family.
Brianna Hollis, KXAN News.
Water in Lady Bird Lake dropped at least 2 feet today, a problem that happened during work on one of the gates at the Longhorn Dam when the gate actually got stuck. So it appears now that lake levels are stabilizing. Austin Water was able to stop the water flow with temporary barriers. Those barriers could be up for several months before a permanent solution is installed. They say this won't impact water or wastewater services for customers.
Well, during election cycles, you hear a lot about this, housing affordability. But how does the city actually make housing more affordable for you?
As KXAN's Grace Reeder explains, Austin is now working toward updating its housing plan, and it could help the city narrow down where it wants to spend your dollars.
This week, Austin City Council is expected to accept a federal grant, which could bring roughly $7 million to our city for affordable housing initiatives. One being to update our city's overarching housing plan adopted back in 2017.
From the advocacy perspective, having a plan is a great way of making sure that we're marking success, that we're also marking places where we're falling short.
We've told you Austin is behind on many of its strategic housing blueprint goals. The former director of the then Housing and Planning Department told us 2 years ago the city couldn't possibly reach the goals of that blueprint alone.
We identified the gap to meet the affordable housing funding in 2016 or 2017 dollars as $11 billion. There's no way that the city can, that one department or that the city of Austin can fund entirely the gap for affordable housing.
Are you saying that the stuff laid out by the city here would cost $11 billion to achieve?
In 2017 dollars, yes.
So what needs to be updated? The executive director of Housing Works Austin, which puts out a strategic housing blueprint scorecard every year, says they expect to see adjustments like a focus on housing in high opportunity areas, for example, near transit and schools and work, reaching people at the lowest median family income levels, looping in the homeless strategy office, and
all of our affordable housing programs have been focused on 50% median family income or lower for rental, or 80% median family income or lower for ownership. So that's roughly for, a 2-person household, that's $80,000. Of course, and I think a lot of your viewers will realize this, even if you're at 100,000 or 90,000, or if you're at 110,000, it's increasingly hard for people to purchase homes in our central city. So that's another conversation we need to have.
Grace Reader, KXAN News.
Now, it's worth noting that this is a federal grant the city is voting to accept. We have asked the City of Austin's Housing Department whether this grant would be impacted, and we didn't hear back. But as we reported earlier in this newscast, the city is evaluating the impact on any programs the Trump administration's announced funding freeze might have.
All right, checking in with Nick again as we have a dreary night out there, and now we're starting to see that fog increase.
Yeah, and we're a little worried that the morning commute tomorrow could be particularly challenging with the fog causing such a reduction in visibility. This can lead to an increase in crashes and slow down that morning commute at the very least. So give yourself a little extra time for tomorrow. Go ahead and set the alarm maybe 10 minutes early so that you're not trying to race to where you need to go. This is how it looks in Lockhart from the Kreitz Market camera there, where you can see the fog in place. It is everywhere. We've also got increasing moisture coming our way from the southwest thanks to this area of low pressure spinning over Southern California. It is just driving in moisture in the form of clouds, in the form of the drizzle, sprinkles, and light showers that we've had coming in from southwest to northeast right into Texas. And that's what's making us so cloudy and so damp. And right now we've got these very light showers moving through the area, and that's coming on top of the drizzle, mist, sprinkles, and fog that we already have. Tomorrow I expect will be a little wetter than today. It's almost going to constantly be drizzling or misting, but then we'll have a little bit more in the way of actual rain showers in the morning and the afternoon. So call it scattered to numerous showers around tomorrow. We get wetter late Wednesday night with downpours and storms starting to develop just before midnight in the hill country. There's midnight. You can see them mostly focused on the hill country. Slowly shifting eastward into early Thursday morning. Here's 5 a.m. Starting to see a slight uptick in the rain in the metro, but still most of the storminess at 5 Thursday morning will be in the hill country. Then it starts to shift into the metro for that morning commute. So tomorrow morning's commute, foggy. Thursday morning's commute, stormy with heavy rain around as well. That may slow things down too. And then this rain finally starts to pull east of 35 by about 9 or 10 Thursday morning, and then pulls out of our eastern counties by about noon or 1 with some sunshine coming for the afternoon. So here's the rain chances: 60% tomorrow, 80% tomorrow night into Thursday morning. But look, Thursday afternoon, we're up to 70. Tomorrow's going to be close to 72. There is a low severe weather risk late tomorrow into Thursday morning. It's a 1 out of 5. Generally northwest of Austin. And then during the rest of Thursday morning through midday, also a 1 out of 5 for the metro and our eastern counties to account for that line of storms slowly moving eastward. So it's a low concern, but there is a concern for a strong or severe storm in the mix here. And large hail and damaging wind would be the primary concern. But again, it's on the low end. Very isolated threat there. Very low risk of flash flooding. We don't expect a lot of rain, a good amount, 1/2 inch to 2 inches. With some localized higher amounts, but we think the ground can absorb that given how much in need we are of beneficial rain here in Central Texas. So Thursday afternoon, drying, sun comes out, we're up to 70, and then Friday and beyond, the weather looks fantastic. Sunny Friday, 71, sunny Saturday, 72, sunny Sunday, 77. What a good weekend after beneficial rain. And then Monday, mostly sunny, 76. There's a slight chance of rain next Tuesday with a high of 74 degrees. But all things considered, we get the rain and we also get a nice weather weekend.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Hey, good evening, all. Happy Tuesday. This is something I've not really done in a while. Sorry, Mom, but reading, you just get busy once in a while. But for a Texas women's basketball star, reading has helped her become the star she is right now. Taylor Jones, SEC Player of the Week for her standout performance in Texas's great 3-win week last week. A couple great games for number 44 at Tennessee, against Tennessee at home, and then on the road against a very good Ole Miss team. She was their go-to player along with Madison Booker down the stretch. Jones said she used to be really hard on herself. Now staying loose, having more fun, playing more relaxed. What helps her in that is in part reading, and here's her current literary preference and how it helps her on the court.
The courage to be unliked or disliked, and it talks about how you don't having the courage not to please everyone around you and to really focus on like your mission and why you're here. And I think that that has really helped me, is being able to block out all the noise and all the things that I can't control.
Women back in action Thursday at home. This logo here been a pretty big talking point as far as the SEC for every Texas team as they enter this new conference. Oh, you don't want to mess with the SEC in football or women's basketball or soccer. Well, pretty much everybody's been right in saying that. These have all been great leagues. But let's go to baseball now. Spring sports are here. A lot of buildup for the Longhorns on the diamond. Coach Jim Schlossnagle comes over from Texas A&M, who is in the SEC, so he knows this conference. Quick aside, season opener for the Longhorns on Valentine's Day. So you got to make plans with your significant other well in advance for the Longhorns, but when they do get to conference play, they'll do so with a rather fired up coach for the challenge in front of them.
I love my time at TCU, and we did an awesome job there, but when you're in this league, wait till you guys see it. Like it's the big leagues of college baseball, and it's every single day, which will drive you crazy, but it's so fun and so challenging. So that personal challenge to try and win here at this great place in that league is what excites me a lot.
And for the Longhorns, their alumni game Saturday. A lot of big names coming back. A lot of minor leaguers, then some guys in the pros as well, like Cody Clemens, David Hamilton, Bryce Elder, Ty Madden, to name a few. It's always free admission over at Dish Falk Field. Quick note on Austin FC here. Last year, busy with a lot of competitions because they had that great 2023, so they qualified for a lot more. Less so in 2025. Of course, they have the MLS regular season starting in a couple weeks. Also, the U.S. Open Cup. MLS changed a lot of rules on qualification front, so Austin will be in that competition. Much more information on our website and a lot of other goings on KXAN.com.